I'm gonna show you 7 ways to improve your hand fighting and get more takedowns. Tip number 1, know your favorite tie-up. Too many people, when they're hand fighting, they don't have a tie-up they like, so the hand fighting has no purpose. You need to make sure you have a favorite tie-up. Here's some examples of tie-ups you can pick for your favorite tie-up. You have an underhook. This is where you're digging underneath your opponent's armpit and hooking either the shoulder or placing your palm on the back of his back. Second tie-up you can choose is a Russian tie. This is where you control the wrist and the shoulder and the arm is going across your chest. Other types you can choose are wrist ties, inside ties where you're grabbing up into the armpit, collar ties where you're grabbing around the neck. But you have to decide for yourself what tie-up you like to do in order to have a purpose in your hand fighting and be able to set up your attacks. What was your favorite tie-up, Steven?
I would go underhook to both sides. So I'd go underhooks and then I would go inside tie with my left hand and a shoulder post with my right hand. Those are my 2 best tie-ups.
Tip number 2, now that you have your tie-up, you need to learn several different ways to get to your tie-up. Steven, you wanna show some examples on how you got to your underhook?
Yeah, a couple of the ways I would get to my underhook if I'm trying to go to the right side, I would club with the back hand, pull his head down, I'd go underhook with my right arm, and I'd circle pocket to pocket. Second option is I'm gonna post with my left hand, club with my right hand, and I'm gonna circle again to the same direction. So I club with my right hand, circle, and start pulling him down. As he goes to reach, I go underhook, pocket to pocket. Another great option would be as we're tied up, he goes to fight inside, blocking, and then going underhook. Mostly I'm looking essentially to get this, whatever side I'm going to, opened. I can either dig, so as I'm hand fighting, I can just dig and force it, but a lot of times if I get to an inside tie, I wait for him to fight in, block, he goes back out, I dip back under. You can also go from, if you get to a front headlock here, and I know he's going to work out, I'll feed his head, get back to my underhook. I can also go from a single. I'm in a single here, maybe he's got heavy pressure, he starts to pull out, I'll go wrist control first, dig my underhook.
So it's very important, whatever tie-up you choose, whether it's an underhook or Russian tie, that you have several different ways to get to that tie-up, because if all you have is club underhook, your opponent is gonna seal off. Most good opponents, when you club, they're sealing their armpit, so you can't dig in. So you have to use these other techniques that Coach Steven was just explaining to get to that position. Now going on to tip number 3, you have to know how to clear tie-ups. You don't necessarily need to know how to master how to use each tie-up, but depending on who your opponent is, they're gonna have a favorite tie-up, and you're gonna have to know how to defend that tie-up and get back to your tie-up. So for example, Steven's favorite tie-up, like you talked about earlier, was an underhook. So I need to know, when somebody digs an underhook, how to crank down, get my thumb, push it free. If it's dug in too deep, I'll have to palm in his chest and slip my elbow down here. If he likes to grab wrists, I have to know how to clear a wrist tie. If he likes to go collar tie, I have to know how to clear a collar tie. If he likes to go Russian tie, I have to know how to clear a Russian tie. And then once I clear that tie-up, I need to immediately go back to my tie-up. For example, if Steven loves the wrist ties, which can be very frustrating, if I clear that tie and break, when I go to re-engage, he's gonna grab it again. So make sure as you're drilling, clearing the various ties, you clear their tie and close the distance so that you can start working and hand fighting to your tie-up. Very rarely do you want to clear the tie, create space, and not be able to get back to your tie-up.
One of the tie-ups that a lot of wrestlers tend not to clear is gonna be an elbow tie. So if I get to a collar tie and an inside tie, a lot of times people are satisfied with this position because on paper I have inside and collar tie. But the reality of this is if he's controlling my elbow, it's very hard for me to shoot. He can feel as I move my arm to shoot, and it's an easy down block to prevent it. So even though I have collar tie and inside tie, this is my favorite tie-up, I still have to clear his elbow ties before I shoot. So instead of staying here, I have to start to move them, I'm pushing, I'm moving them, and then I'm gonna clear that before I shoot. Now my attack hand is free. So even though I have an advantage here, I'm not stopping and allowing him to win any secondary positions. I'm clearing this, and then I'm going. Another example could be I have an underhook, but he has my wrist here. Although on paper I have the underhook, he's got wrist control here, and it's very hard for me to go and attack. It's hard for me to go knee pick because that thumb is gonna block. I may have to re-roll, or I may clear all the way out and then go back in. So I have to make sure not only am I getting to my tie-up and preventing what he's doing, but I'm improving in that to gain better positioning in my hand fighting.
Tip number 4, have a sense of urgency. This goes hand in hand with clearing the tie and when you get to your tie-up. You only have a limited amount of time to either attack or clear the tie before they attack. So we'll first go on the offensive side. Once I get to my tie-up, I may not have this tie-up for very long, so I need to immediately go to my attacks. I'm not gonna hang out here and allow Steven to get head position and start cranking down. As soon as I get to my underhook position, I normally like to go to my throw by single, which I'll either get or he'll circle and face and allow me to open up other attacks like the knee pick. So make sure once you get to your tie-up, you're going immediately to your offense. He gets to his Russian tie, he's gonna be going to his attack, so I can't let him hang out here. So if I know his favorite tie is a Russian tie, I immediately be creating space, attacking the hands and clearing. A lot of people have trouble getting to their attacks or winning in neutral. If you control the hand fight, you will control the neutral position. Think about it this way. Steven has spent his whole career learning the underhook, drilling it day in and day out. If he gets to that tie-up, he's gonna win the neutral position. Me, I've been drilling, say, a Russian tie my whole life over and over again. If I get to my Russian tie position, I'm gonna win. So if you guys put a bunch of emphasis onto this hand fighting and having urgency, you're gonna be the one that's gonna be getting the takedowns and at the minimum, being able to defend your opponent's shots.
Yeah, and you also don't want to be feeling your opponent out. A lot of times, people will start a match and that first 30 seconds, they're trying to feel it out. That often is gonna be a big mistake. If I'm trying to feel it out and I'm trying to feel where he's going, he's gonna get in there. So off the whistle, I am going to wherever I'm trying to go to, underhook, Russian, whatever your control tie is, immediately. I'm not wasting time feeling my opponent out. I'm trying to get in there and score as quick as possible.
The 5th tip is live hand fighting. One of the ways we like to live hand fight is with a game. The game is this. If your opponent gets your hands to their mat, or to the sand in this case, that's 1 point. If you get double underhooks and lock your hands, that's another point. And if you get to the front headlock position, that would be a 3rd point. So there's 3 ways to score. They're gonna demonstrate real quick what this live hand fighting game looks like. Ready, go. The most important part of this drill is going as hard as possible. You don't have to focus on your shots or making mistakes. You can focus on going as hard as possible, and that is super, super important to be good at hand fighting. Why do all the best wrestlers have cauliflower ear? It's because they go way harder than everybody else. You can see if you want to use that, Will.
What did you do? Oh, there we
Sorry,
go.
That's part of it.
That should be a point too.
Tip number 6, use snap downs, specifically collar ties, to wear down your opponent. A lot of times when hand fighting, the first 2 periods, it could be a battle, right? And we're hand fighting and we're really both struggling to get to our tie-up. But if you're consistently wearing on the collar tie, snapping the person down, by the 3rd period, they're gonna start feeling fatigue in their stance. And that's gonna allow you to not only get to your tie-up, but it also will cause your opponent to stand up a little bit more. So if you're constantly wearing on your opponent, snapping them down, he'll start naturally having to posture up just to prevent himself from falling over. That's what's gonna open up your attacks or open up getting to your tie-ups. So I suggest that you add in snaps and fakes as well, even though this is not really, I guess it's kind of related. You need to be adding snaps and fakes in your wrestling if you want to win the hand fight. I'll especially use fakes if I'm losing the hand fight as well. So if Steven's overwhelming with the hand fight here, and I feel like I'm losing, I'll add fakes to cause him to down block and to slow his hand fighting and his offense down. Tip number 7, you have to know what your opponent can do from your favorite tie-up. So if your favorite tie-up is the underhook position, you need to know what your opponent can do so that you're more prepared when you get to your tie-up. Some of the examples that Steven can do from the overhook tie-up would be an inside trip. Oh my goodness. He can also hit a fireman's carry from this position. I would say the fireman's carry is the most common. And Steven, is there any other options that you go from here?
Some guys might go lat drop here.
Oh my God.
I'm taking my opportunity. They might go like a jet wizard throw, or turn away, kick him down, or cut back stuff. You know, whether I'm cutting to here or I'm going over, I'm taking him in a backwards direction and then covering. Another thing that you want to be aware of as well is understanding how people are going to get out of the tie-ups. So me just pressuring down on the elbow to fight out, you know, blocking the legs. So he's going to understand this positioning battle to get his elbow back in there. Or if I'm pushing on his chest to try to slip my arm free, he may know that's a great time for him to attack.
And this goes for any of your favorite types. If your favorite type's a Russian tie or wrist tie or elbow ties, you need to know what your opponent can do from the counter tie-up, right, the opposite tie-up, so that once you get there, you can be more prepared and you can use it to their, you know, disadvantage. What I mean by that is, like, if I know he's going inside trip, I may be able to drop into a single leg. If he's going for the weird step around thing, you know, I could throw it by and catch him there. Right, and the fireman's carry, specifically for the underhook, most people go to that fireman's carry, so that's what I would know the most. So a lot of times when I'm going underhook, if he goes to go for fireman's carry, I always block it with my inside hand, and then I can score from that front headlock position. If these 7 tips helped you out, make sure to watch my full-length hand fighting instructional right here.